Welcome back, A-Pushers, to another episode of Mr. BAP US History. This is Mr. B. On today's episode, The Market Revolution Transforming the Economy 1800 to 1860. Two quotes. Fellow citizens, we met to celebrate the laying of the first stone of the BL Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. The results of our labors will be felt not by ourselves, but also by posterity. We are in fact commencing a new era in our history, for there are none that doubt the beneficial influence which this railroad will have in promoting agriculture, manufactures, and inland commerce of our country. J.B. Morris, July 4th, 1828. Second quote, I have always thought that one man of tolerable abilities may work great changes and accomplish great affairs among mankind, if he first forms a good plan, and, cutting off all amusements and other employments that would divert his attention, makes the execution of that same plan his sole study and business. Benjamin Franklin Autobiography, 1818. Wise words from a founding father. On to the notes. The first American Industrial Revolution, 1790 to 1860. Industrial Revolution. Definition: a change from agrarian and handicraft-based economy, subsistence agriculture, so to speak, to industry and machine manufacturing using water and steam power economy. Results in increased output, increased standard of living, and reorganized work routines. Created new types of jobs. The division of labor. Work is divided into simple, easily taught tasks. Changes independent artisans into wage laborers. The outwork system. Different parts of labor are done at people's homes, but then the final product is assembled and sold at a central location. Model factories are built, for example. The Cincinnati system is so efficient that Cincinnati becomes known as Porkopolis because of how many porks it was able to process, pigs, to process into pork in such a short time. Water power machinery. So they're using flowing rivers to turn windmills to turn water mills, water wheels to generate power. Mineral-based economy of coal and metal, coal-burning steam engines, for example. Cyrus McCormick used steam engines to make parts for his combine mower Reaper, and Sam Colt made his six-shooter on an assembly line. Samuel Slater, another famous inventor, was a British mechanic and industrial spy that brought British textile manufacturing secrets to the United States by memorizing them in his head and bringing them over and then recreating the factory from just the plans inside of his head. He did this to make fortunes. American manufacturing advantages: an abundance of natural resources. Farmers produced cotton and wool. Fast-flowing rivers provided cheap energy. Protective tariffs from the U.S. government in 1860 and 1824 and 1828. That's right, the famous Tariff of Abominations protected manufacturing, especially after the War of 1812. Improved on British technology and founded cheaper labor sources. The Waltham-Lowell system / Boston Manufacturing Co., which resulted in the Lowell factory system in 1822. American textile factories used high-speed power looms and recruited thousands of young women from farm families, providing them with room and board, educational opportunities, and strict rules to reassure their parents. They could pay the women less than men, and the women felt more independent because they had a source of income. Workers were called operatives, and they had to work 12 hours a day. Women usually worked for a couple years, then quit to get married. But this was a huge change, and it benefited both the manufacturing and changed the role of women. American mechanics and technological innovation. Machine tools. Machine tools are machines that make parts for other machines. That's crazy. It's like robots making robots. Eli Whitney, famous American inventor, invented the cotton gin in 1793. He also invented interchangeable parts in 1798 and used the concept to sell guns to the U.S. Army, making himself a fortune. Other inventors. Remington invented rifles, Singer made sewing machine, and Yale made locks. Wage workers and labor union. Artisan republicanism, self-ownership, which is production based on liberty and equality, shifted to wage earners under the control of an employer or a boss. Skilled workers, carpenters, masons, and cabinet makers formed unions to bargain for higher wages and less hours. Unions were not supported by the government. Labor ideology. The labor theory of value. The price of goods should reflect labor used to make them, and income should go primarily to the producers, workers, not the owners. This was not supported by the business owners themselves, but the workers. Lowell women workers, for example, Lowell women workers went on strike for better wages in 1834 and 1836 and were successful. The market revolution, from an economy based on subsistence agriculture to an economy based on buying and selling. The transportation revolution, roads and canals, allows resources and goods to be transported quickly and cheaply, increases migration west of the Appalachian Mountains, creating the Midwest, which is Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, and Minnesota. The National Road, 1811 to 1839, compacted gravel road from Washington, D.C. to Vandalia, Illinois, through the Cumberland Gap. Success of the National Road led states and private companies to build toll roads and turnpikes to increase transportation. Erie Canal, 1817, 364-mile man-made waterway connecting New York City to Lake Erie, built primarily by Irish immigrants who were paid a little less than $1 a day, created new towns all along the canal, also led to deforestation. It was an instant economic success, brought prosperity to the entire Great Lakes region and to New York especially, encouraged the construction of more canals, including the Pennsylvania Mainline Canal, which connected the Ohio River to the Mississippi River, which then flowed into all the way down to New Orleans, opening up the whole interior of the continent to business and trade. Invention of the steamboat in 1807 by Robert Fulton allowed transportation up and down America's rivers, making them two-way traffic. Interregional trade encouraged by the Post Office Act of 1792 and the John Marshall Supreme Court. Yeah. Judicial nationalism in full effect. Railroads. Towards the end of the time period, railroads linked the North and the Midwest. In the 1850s, railroads joined canals as the core of the national transportation system, moved farm products from the Midwest to the cities in exchange for manufactured goods from the urban areas. John Deere invents the steel plow in 1837 and builds factories in the Midwest, allows farmers to cut through thick sod and farm on the prairies. Southern plantations used rivers to transport their cotton to coastal cities where it was loaded onto boats and shipped to the Northeast or Europe. The Southerners did not see the use or need for infrastructure improvements like roads or canals. They had well-established rivers that provided these things for them. So they were not interested in building out their things or even bringing railroads until later. Urbanization, the growth of towns and cities. Industrialization leads to urbanization, the growth of towns and cities. New York City, Chicago, St. Louis, Cleveland, Cincinnati, just to name a few. New social classes and cultures. The Industrial and Market Revolution improved American standards of living, but created distinct social classes. Small but wealthy business elite, substantial middle class, and lots of propertyless wage earners, or the poor. This challenges Republican ideals of everyone being equal. Right? The ideals of everyone being equal. The business elite. Before, notable families had higher status, but everyone shared the same basic culture. After the market revolution and the industrial revolution, the super rich lived a totally different lifestyle. They lived in separate neighborhoods, had servants, and only socialized with other rich people. The middle class. Farmers, mechanics, professionals with skills, small business owners, clerks, managers, supervisors. Per capita income increased, creating a large middle class. Lived in well-built houses in respectable parts of town. Had enough money to live comfortably and consume the many manufactured goods that were being produced. Had furnaces, pianos, icebox. They focused on moral and mental discipline, high school education and stress discipline and hard work. Popularized by Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, which was published after the War of 1812 and 1818, which encouraged people to save money and to aim to rise in the world. The self-made man, or from rags to riches, became a cultural theme. New social classes and cultures continued. Urban workers and the poor. Urban workers and the poor earned less than $1 a day, did temporary and dangerous work. Unskilled laborers, struggled, forced to send their children to work in factories, lived in dilapidated housing in slums covered in filth and disease, lived in boarding houses or tiny apartments. Alcohol and lawlessness were rampant. Overcrowding and sanitation were major issues as well. These conditions led to organizations of conservative social reform called the Benevolent Empire. Goal was to reduce poverty by reducing consumption of alcohol and other vices. And that's it. That's the end of our notes. 8 pushers. Until next time, this is Mr. B, AP US History. Make sure you like, subscribe, add, and send those positive comments. Until next time.